Texas has become ground zero in the fight over abortion rights. The Lone Star State has some of the strictest abortion laws in the country, some of the harshest penalties. Our own Yamiche Alcindor has the details on a new lawsuit that could challenge the state of Texas and save women's lives.
When Amanda and Josh Zarowski found out they were expecting a baby girl, they were overjoyed. The name they picked for her, Willow.
I mean, it was magical. The first 17 weeks were very easy, very smooth sailing.
But just before week 18, something felt wrong. Amanda's body was preparing for labor too early. The news from her doctor was devastating.
She said pretty quickly, all in one breath, you're going to lose the baby. She's not going to survive. I thought what they would do is go in and intervene immediately, but she told me that they couldn't because the baby's heart was still beating and I wasn't sick.
Laws in Texas ban doctors from performing abortions except when a medical emergency endangers a person's life or major bodily function. Those who violate the law could face up to life in prison.
Take me into what it was like to wait.
I just existed in sorrow and fear. I was really, really scared.
This just isn't something that you do with any other kind of medical issue, is you have to ask, am I sick enough to get treatment? It was infuriating.
3 days after the diagnosis, Amanda's health deteriorated. Doctors performed an abortion, but serious infections led to sepsis, and Amanda spent 3 days in the ICU.
Because of the law, I very nearly died. Nothing about this is pro-life.
Now Amanda is part of a group of 7 plaintiffs represented by the Center for Reproductive Rights who plan to file a lawsuit against the state of Texas tonight.
Until there is a legal fight, nothing's going to change, and something has to change.
But John Segal, president of Texas Right to Life, who helped craft the Texas Heartbeat Act, says the law is clear as written and that doctors like Amanda's are misinterpreting it.
If they are saying they have to delay and wait the days like you're talking about, that is medical malpractice. But if it is uncertain that this child may survive or may not, Texas is saying we don't jump to conclusions.
Doctors are saying the law is not clear, and as a result, I'm going to act on the side of being cautious, and that means that I might have to wait for a woman to get sicker and sicker before I can perform an abortion that I know she needs.
And that's the wrong conclusion.
Nancy Northup is the president of the Center for Reproductive Rights.
The issue here is not that the doctors are being too cautious. The reality is, without clarification of this Texas law, without a change in the circumstances that are happening today, it is going to come that women are going to die.
Segal disagrees.
The law is not putting lives in danger. The law is black and white about what a doctor can do and what he cannot do.
Does it ever give you pause that there are situations that have happened after this law where women's lives have been put at risk?
Yes, our mission is to save lives. So the fact that some women's lives have been jeopardized is something that we take very seriously.
Little outfit.
Amanda and Josh are still grieving their loss.
I know. Damn onesie gets me every time.
They hope something changes.
I want nothing more than to have kids, but I'm terrified to be pregnant again.
Yamiche Alcindor, NBC News, Austin, Texas.
With us for more, Maria Teresa Kumar, the president and CEO of Vota Latino. She joins me now. She is also an MSNBC contributor and a former board member for Planned Parenthood. Maria, I mean, absolutely heartbreaking. I wonder what you make of this lawsuit.
It's a long time in coming, and it's so sad that so many women have had to basically get on the brink of almost dying, and not only having to grieve their loss of a failed pregnancy, but having to actually hold these individuals to account. But Alicia, let's be clear. This is not about science. This is not about making sure that a woman is okay, nor the fetus. This is all about control. And what we are seeing right now is not only at odds with what we believe in separation of church and state, but this is basically government at its worst, basically bending to religious ideology that not every single American adheres to. And sadly, women will die, and it's going to be disproportionately poor women, women who do not have access, women who don't understand the law, and women who do not know how to access alternatives in order to have an abortion.
Well, let's talk about that, because there's a South Carolina woman who's been arrested for allegedly using medication to induce an abortion back in 2021. this is what we have been warned about. How worried are you that what we're seeing happen in South Carolina becomes the new normal?
Incredibly worried, because one of the things that the Texas law does, very similarly to the South Carolina law, is that it basically provides any individual to be a vigilante and say this person assisted someone to go to a clinic. So, for example, if you call an Uber and the Uber drives you to an abortion clinic and they deem that that is a type of assistance in terminating a pregnancy, it has so many repercussions. And that's why one of the things that we're seeing is other states getting into the fight. We're talking specifically in this case, I'm speaking about Gavin Newsom. He declared today a war on Walgreens because Walgreens decided that it was not going to sell one of two widely available FDA-approved drugs that allows women to receive this kind of medication so that they could self-administer abortion care. And so the fact that we're seeing Democratic governors coming in and doing it, that's where the fight is. And let's not kid ourselves. The fact that California, the fourth largest economy in the world, is now going toe-to-toe with Texas, saying this is how we're going to crack down on it. Because what we're seeing, not just in Texas, but potentially in the Supreme Court, if it goes to this, what we're going to see is not going to be just a blue state, red state who has access to the abortion care, but it's going to impact every single American woman, regardless of where they live.
Right. That is why this abortion case in Texas that we are all watching under Judge Kaczmarek, keep reminding our viewers, it will not just be people in Texas who will not have access to those abortion pills. It will be nationwide. Here's the thing, though, about Texas. In Texas, you've had, before Roe versus Wade was overturned, SB 8 turned regular citizens into abortion bounty hunters. Remember that? We're waiting to see about this Texas judge, if he's going to ban abortion pills nationwide. And you have a Texas Republican introducing a bill that would charge credit card companies with a felony for processing payments related to abortion pills. I mean, again, we keep being reminded that they were not going to stop at Roe, that Roe was the beginning. It was not the end. What is going on down there?
What's going on is that you have a Republican governor run by a Texas GOP that is incredibly extreme. They, again, are imposing their religiosity on the American people in Texas, and they're not going to stop there. And that is why it's imperative that every single Democratic governor does exactly what Gavin Newsom did, basically take it to them, because otherwise we are in a fight for our lives. This is not ideological. This is about a woman's health and ability to basically decide for herself what is good for her family, but also make sure that she is keeping herself safe.
It also comes on the heels of a midterm where voters were very clear about the fact that they didn't like this kind of extremism, that even if they don't consider themselves pro-choice necessarily, a lot of them saw this as government overreach. And I wonder, as they continue in Texas, for example, but in other states too, to push the line, if there then are going to be electoral consequences for these laws.
What we'll see electoral consequences at the top of the ticket, but a lot of these states have highly gerrymandered districts in congressional races, and that is where the challenge is. And that's why it's going to be really important that we see, again, a consistency of state legislators in Democratic governors' mansions doing the exact same thing that Gavin Newsom did. Because until then, if people do not feel that the fight is coming to them, you're going to see a lot of Republicans who are very well organized, very well orchestrated when it comes to knocking down the state houses, making sure they're passing very similar legislation. This is part of a concerted effort with the Republican Party, where they are going into Texas as test cases. And if it succeeds there, then they will go to other states. And that's one of the reasons why it's important, again, that the American people continue to be very vigilant, that they continue protesting, that they keep voting. But just as importantly, it's important that governors that are of Democratic states make sure that they are doing the exact same thing.